but I'd like to introduce you now, a good friend of mine, long-term friend, John Ferguson, owner of Blackjack Firearms. John, you've been on the show before. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks, Matt.
How's it going? You got a lot of things going on?
Oh yeah, we're staying busy doing the gun shows and doing our online sales.
Let
And
me get that mic here so people can hear you. Now, John, a lot of people know you, but some people may not. So give me a little history about yourself, what you've done and how you got to this point owning Blackjack Firearms and where your experience comes from.
okay, Matt. Blackjack Firearms, we started it back in this fall of 2011. I have a partner, Steve. We started the company, started out trying to build custom ARs. We did that for a few years. Recently, about last year, we've stopped doing that just because the market's flooded with ARs. There really wasn't a whole lot of money to be made in that. So we moved on to doing the selling AR parts for the person who wants to build their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much what we've got. We got that. We're moving into selling AK parts for those who want to build that. So parts and accessories is what we sell a lot of. We concentrate mainly on selling at gun shows and selling online.
Well, how'd you get your experience from all these two different platforms, ARs and AKs? I think you've got some special condition as to why you're so good with this stuff.
Well, yeah, I did 21 years in the Army.
Okay, that helps.
And my partner Steve, he did 11 years in the Marine Corps. Between the two of us, we've got 4 tours in the Middle East. My first 2 tours in the Middle East, I was with 4th Infantry Division in Iraq.
Make sure you're talking to the mic, buddy.
And we, one of the things I did was basically when all the captured weaponry came in, I was cataloging it, researching it, and when first time I was over there, my colonel let me go out and test it.
So you got the bug, right? You got the bug with the AKs?
Got the bug, yeah.
Right.
And then while I was over there, one of my captains, he was an amateur gunsmith, and he talked me into he goes, why buy rifles and then you can build them? And that got that bug going, so I started coming back and buying parts. The first one I built was built up a Mauser, and the next rifle I built was built up an AR, and from there really haven't bought that many complete guns after that. I've just
you got in this own little niche. You just, instead of buying, I buy, you build. So
right.
That's part of the things we're going to talk about. We talked about in this last segment the Ordinance AKM 247, and we were discussing this last night. Why don't you tell me your thoughts on that? Because I know we were mentioning how nice of a gun it is, mm-hmm. and why is it so? It's American made, which makes it even nicer. What can you tell people about that?
Well, the Inner Ordinance has a really good reputation. They're known for building a quality rifle. There's really only 2 major companies building all American-made AKs in the U.S. There's Inner Ordinance and there's Century. Centuries, some models are really good, some models are shaky.
Why do you say that? In your opinion, what makes a model good and a model shaky? What do you look for?
You're looking for rifles that all the parts line up. The gas block, the sights, everything's lined up straight. You're looking for parts that have used all good steel trunnions in the AKs. Mm-hmm. Some of Century's AKs have a reputation for having used cast trunnions for holding the barrel in.
I read a lot of testimonials about that, just in general about AKs, and they were making comments on how those are, on this particular weapon, great, solid. Yeah. You've heard bad things about them. Of other AKs, but these are specifically very good. So.
Right, yeah. And I understand from Inner Ordinance, from everything I've read, is they mill them out, they build all the parts right, everything lines up, everything is rock solid. You don't have any worries about anything separating on you or anything falling apart.
Well, I know I put my hands on a bunch of them, and when every time you pick it up, it's rock solid. Yeah. It really is. I mean, we were talking before too about if you were to put it in a list from 1 to 10 or something of what, in your opinion, would be best down to lower grade, and as to why. Would you want to share that with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking also about my experience with handling hundreds of them over in Iraq. Mm-hmm. so in that circumstance, the Russian AKs are Russian, Bulgarian, Polish AKs by far are our best. Yugoslavs are right below them. Some of the Chinese, it depends on the factory. There's about 5 factories in China building AKs. Some of the factories actually, at least one, builds pretty good AKs. The rest of them are kind of a little bit shaky. Everything else just starts getting worse. The worst ones I've ever seen were the Romanians. They're just...
What is the deal with the front sight cocked over to the right or to the left? What is?
I don't know. It's just whatever reason I just don't think they cared. Their workers just didn't care.
I mean, when the sight post is leaning to the right, you got to knock the front sight blade to the left, and you got these things sticking out. But that's what's nice about the inner orange. That one guy said out of the box it was like almost dead on. Yeah. So that was pretty nice.
So I mean, and when you get to the American built, like I said, the inner Ordinance have a really good reputation. You've got the arsenals, which are a combination of Bulgarian and American parts, which are assembled.
To make it legal, right?
To make it legal, right.
But the inner Ordinance is a fully homegrown. That sounds good. Yeah.
But the arsenals are really good. But like I said, they've got some Bulgarian parts in them. They're assembled.
What's your thought of different calibers to the AK platform? 5.56, for example.
The caliber I actually like is the 5.45. That's used in the AK-74. That's a really nice caliber. There's absolutely no climb to it. I put a slide fire stock on one of those one time and ripped through a 30-round magazine. There was no climb.
Why is that?
It's just it's just a very low pressure round. I mean, it's good out to about 250, 300 meters. It's what the Russian army uses nowadays. But they designed a cartridge that they didn't want climb. They wanted to be able to fire it on full auto and hit their target. And it does it. It's
now these guns are designed for steel cased ammo.
Correct.
Okay? What happens? We'll make a comment here. I better explain this. If you use steel cased lacquered ammo in an AR, you just killed your weapon. It gets hot. That lacquer starts building up because it's such a fine-tuned machine. But the AK with loose tolerances can handle all this stuff. So what happens if you start using brass ammo in these types of platforms? Anything? I mean, is it just the opposite?
No,
it can eat anything it wants.
It'll eat anything. Yeah, AK will eat anything. That's what AK is known for. It'll be able to eat anything.
Under mud, in the sand, no matter what, right?
Yeah. I mean, like anything, if you can abuse it to the point that it will fail. But an AK is known for being able to take a lot of abuse. I mean, it was designed for armies of illiterate peasants. To be able to maintain it and use it.
You look at the Mosin rifle. It's a beautiful piece of artwork. It's a beautiful rifle, and they made that for a peasant. Mm-hmm. Here, the AK-47, it's for a peasant. Mm-hmm. Those are not peasant guns. Those are nice rifles. Right. Okay, so now we've got ARs versus AKs. I know you've sold them. I know you've built them. I know you're selling receivers and things like that. Let's just hop, skip, and jump here. What do you got in front of me here? You got an AK receiver.
Yeah, this is a milled AK-47 receiver.
And ladies and gentlemen, probably Monday or Tuesday we'll have this video up, and we're showing the receiver right now.
Okay, so the AK-47s come with either milled or stamped receivers. Right. Okay, milled receivers, you can feel the weight of that. That's about half a pound heavier than the stamped receiver.
Yep, okay. It's solid as a rock,
It's solid as a rock. Your trunnions are milled into the receiver instead of being riveted on. There's no flex in the receiver. Some AKs with the stamped receivers, over time, they can build some flex up in the receiver, and sometimes they can, Romanians, they'll bend. But you're not going to get that with the milled receiver. So they're heavier. And a lot of people like them. The original AK-47 design had the milled receiver, and it was in 1959 when they came out with the AKM that they went to the stamped receiver. So for the first 12 years of production, it was all milled receiver. So a lot of people like to go, especially somebody who's interested in collecting guns that are historical type.
It gives the reason as to why they're much more expensive than just having a basic stamped receiver. Now,
right.
Can somebody easily, if they want to, replace their stamped receiver with the milled receiver?
No. You're basically going to have to get a kit for a milled receiver, or get parts for a milled receiver. The trigger group's going to be the same, but your stock, your trigger guard, and your barrel are going to be different.
So instead of dissecting the AK that you have to put together on a receiver that you have, isn't going to work. You
Right.
want to take that receiver and build from that initially.
Correct.
Okay. What's it take to do that? Why would somebody? One of the questions I wanted to ask was, why build as compared to buy if you can find something like an inner ordinance?
The big reason I tell people to build is two big reasons. One, you intimately know your rifle.
Intimately know your rifle.
Yeah. If anything goes wrong in it, you know how to fix it. Okay. You don't have to take it to someone to have them fix it and have it, pay a gunsmith to do something that you could do yourself. The other thing is, you can build it the way you want it. The ARs and AKs, there are so many different accessories out there, so many different options of different types of parts that you can build the rifle that you want. I mean, I know people who will go out and they'll buy, a $550 Delton rifle, which is a good rifle, but then they decide they want to put a quad rail on it, and they want to put a stainless steel barrel on it, and they want to put a nickel boron bolt carrier group in it. And by the time they're done, they've built an $1,100 rifle, where if they had started out building it themselves, they could have done it for, probably $600-700.
Well, what's nice about it in one respect is if somebody doesn't have all that money, but they do have enough money to at least get themselves armed,
Right.
it's one of those types of guns that you can keep building up.
Yes. So, but, the other thing is like I said, and there's a lot of fun in the hobby. My teenage boys, I've built rifles with them. In fact, one of them's now off to college, and he's been ordering parts from me because he's building himself his own AR up there.
Well, I've seen your work because I've sold much of your product in my shop, ARs and AKs, and they don't stay on the shelf, so they're pretty nice. But you no longer build them.
Right.
You're just selling the components.
Correct.
So how could somebody get in contact with you? Where should they go to be able to get all this stuff?
Well, the easiest way is we're at most of the gun shows in Central Texas. In fact, on the 20th of this month, we'll be at the gun show in Belton, and then the first weekend of June, we'll be at the gun show in Taylor.
And I'll be there with you. We'll be doing a live remote there. So that'll be good. We'll get together and we can show people and talk about it as well. But keep going. How else can they get a hold of you?
They can also get a hold of us by sending us an email at blackjackfirearms@gmail.com. Tell us the parts they want. We can let them know what the cost will be. We can send them, work out how we're going to get it to them. A lot of times we can deliver it. I've made deliveries to people because it's just cheaper than adding in postage.
Okay.
And then there's also, they can go to bjfirearms.biz and order parts on our webpage.
All right, here's what we're going to do, John. We're going to take a long break, and when we come back from the break, what I'd like to do, a lot of people say, what do I get, an AK or an AR? And I know you know the difference between the two. If we can somehow, after the break, just a comparison chart talking, well, this is what this has got as compared to this, and just go down the line and give people a better idea of which one they might want to pick. So let's take a break, Trey. When we come back, we'll be talking to John Ferguson of Blackjack Firearms about the comparison between the AR platform and an AK-47. We'll be back on the other side.
Capilito Dodd Krebs law firm prides themselves
I need you to
on
speak in that
service,
mic, Nick, 'cause it's not
resourcefulness,
gonna come over.
knowledge of the
It's
law,
better if
and
you're facing the
attention
mic.
to detail.
Okay.
So if you or a loved one has been
Your
injured by
voice
someone
is
else's
at that timbre
negligence,
that
they
low
can help.
pitch
Call
that if you don't project it, it's not gonna pick up
888-637-6347 for help
Okay.
today from Capilito Dodd Krebs Law Firm.
Yeah, I had to relearn all
Capilito
that.
Dodd Krebs Law Firm will work as hard for your
Because my
family
voice
as
is
you do.
naturally like
Call
this.
800-460-0606
I'm talking to the microphone.
for Capilito Dodd
Now we can
Krebs.
hear you.
Arch Coons, the owner of ANC Firearms in Heidenhammer, Texas, is an avid gun enthusiast and enjoys helping all of his customers to find a gun that's perfect for them. With a large selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, finding the right gun becomes easy. Go to ANC Firearms, located
so just
at
compare and contrast
5819 US
ARs and AKs.
190 in Heidenhammer, or call them 254-983-4417. Pistols, rifles, shotguns,
for my
ammo,
benefit,
knives, and a whole lot
one or
more.
two words.
ANC Firearms, 254-983-4417.
Just so I can make some interjections.
Aaron's Gun Shop and High
let's
Cap
see.
Adventures. If you've decided to carry a handgun for self-defense, you better know what you're doing. If you don't, you
Directories,
better learn fast.
capacities,
Not only
license,
fast, but thoroughly.
furniture,
Aaron's Gun Shop and High
accessories.
Cap Adventures fills the void between a Johnny wannabe and a person who's been properly trained in the proper handling and use of a firearm. Call me, Matt Boutros, at 254-697-4721 or email me at aaronsgunshop@gmail.com and set up a class or seminar to get you started on the road to proficiency with a firearm for self-defense. Go to our website, aaronsgunshop.com, and review the High Cap Adventures page. We have seminars to cover most forms of firearms training. Call 254-697-4721 or email me at aaronsgunshop@gmail.com to get more information on how to get started with your training. The time for games is over. Reality starts now. aaronsgunshop.com. When calamity strikes, will you be ready?
Wide ready.
Centex Tactical Gear and Temple has your military surplus equipment, gun accessories, duty gear, first aid supplies, bug-out bags, and so much more. Call Centex Tactical Gear at 254-231-3583 or check them out on the web at centextacticalgear.com. Centex Tactical has both new and used clothing and equipment to fit your camping, hunting, or prepping needs. Call Centex Tactical and Temple at 254-231-3583 or check them out on the web at centextacticalgear.com.
Let's think of accurate, reliable, most aftermarket accessories. There's a lot of aftermarket accessories. Easily changed calibers. One rifle is one caliber. Fewer tools to assemble them. There's more tools needed to assemble them.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. We've got about 13 minutes left in the show. It's May 6, 2017. If you got any questions concerning AKs, ARs, now's the time to call 254-697-6633. We're talking with John Ferguson, owner of Blackjack Firearms here in Cameron. Ran out of breath there. John, how can they get in touch with you again?
They can get in touch with me at blackjackfirearms@gmail.com, or they can look at our website at www.bjfirearms.biz.
Okay, now, we talked about ANC Firearms having the Inner Ordinance AK M247. All these letters and identifiers kind of gets me crazy. And how John says great gun if you're going to be buying a gun as compared to building a gun. So if you're going to buy a gun, an AK platform, call ANC Firearms, 254-983-4417. But John, since you are or were a builder of both and have experience with both, let's get into a little detail here. The differences, if somebody's out there saying, you know, I like how an AR looks and I want to do this and I want to do that, or hey man, AK's rugged, blah, blah, blah. What is the difference between the two? In your opinion, what's better? Where would you use one as compared to the other? So on and so forth. So, you know, let's draw this out here and talk about the differences in the AR platform and the AK-47 platform.
Okay. Well, the main thing that the AK is known for is reliability. Okay. The AR has a reputation for being less reliable.
Gee, wow.
A lot of that's just the gas system. The AK has a very large gas piston.
Well, what would you say if an AR had the piston system? Like I've got one of those SIG with a piston.
The piston ARs are good rifles. I really don't know if you're gaining a whole lot. You're gaining weight.
Well, I'm talking reliability.
Yeah, reliability. You're gaining some, but you know, I read a few years ago this Colt engineer, because Colt had designed a piston back in the 60s for the M16 for the Army, and this Colt engineer said, you know, he goes, the pistons are great when they work. He goes, but when they malfunction, that's a major malfunction. You got to send that thing back to the shop to get it fixed. He goes, a direct gas impingement malfunctions, you clean it and you're firing again.
Yeah, but if you're going to clean it out in the field in combat, I'd be dropping that weapon, picking up a battlefield pickup or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of, there's pros and cons to everything.
Sure.
You know, now what makes the AK extremely reliable also tends to make it a lot less accurate than the AR. You know, the AR, you can get, you know, competition level accuracy out of an AR fairly easily. You know, you're not going to get that easily.
What makes that possible as compared to the AK?
The things that make it possible is the design of the AR is a straight linear design, so that you're lining up directly behind the barrel, so that you've got which helps with accuracy a lot. The other thing is the design of the lugs. The AR has 8 lugs that lock into place and hold the bolt in the barrel into position consistently. Mm-hmm. The AK's got 2 lugs, and when they're very large lugs, but when they lock into place, there's more room for play and more room for torque in the bolt. And then the other thing is the gas system. That big piston on top of the barrel sliding back and forth in that gas tube is going to change harmonics of your barrel, where direct gas impeachment's not going to.
Can you say, based on battlefield experience, the necessity for the long-range distance of an AR as compared to what you think an AK could do? Or in a battlefield scenario, it may not take as much of effect because you may have other weapons that are specifically designed for the longer range?
Yeah, the range on both is pretty similar. My personal feelings is I'd like to see us go, see the military go to like a 6.5 or a 6.8.
Well, they were considering that, weren't they?
They were. The fact the 6.5 and the 6.8 were designed for the SF to use in Iraq and Afghanistan, so they could have cartridges with more range.
We talked about this before too, about how there's so much diversity when it comes to the AR platform, when it comes to calibers. Talk about that first, because I remember you gave me a list of all the different calibers you can do, and explain why that is possible.
Well, the AR is a modular system. You've got 2 pins, you push them out, you take the upper off, you put the new upper on. You can fire anything from, pistol calibers all the way up to 50 Beowulf, through this thing. So you can fire 50 caliber cartridges all the way down to 9mm, and just about any rifle cartridge that'll fit into the magazine.
Most of the time, it's just changing the barrel and the bolt, right?
The barrel and the bolt, and then a lot of times
the
the magazine. Sometimes the magazine. And then you've got, so there's just a ton of options out there, and it's real simple. You can pay for one lower, and then just change uppers, and you've got multiple caliber choices. And that's something you cannot do with the AK. The AK has got the barrel's pressed into that trunnion, and once that's in there, you ain't gonna take it out. So, it's when you get an AK, you're getting that caliber. When you get an AR, you can actually have
from what you've seen
about
besides
50 different calibers.
Besides 22s, 7.62 by 39, 5.56, what other calibers have you seen in an AK platform?
I've seen 5.45, 7.62 by 39, 5.56. I've seen 308s, but they're actually a larger receiver. And then you've got the Segas, which were in Vepers, which have built shotguns on it.
I wanted to ask you this too, since you brought that up. Some AKs have longer barrels.
Yes.
What's their designation, and why would somebody want one of those as compared to a standard 16-inch barrel?
There's two different reasons they have longer barrels. One is for an RPK, which is for a squad automatic weapon, and those will usually have 20-inch barrels, and they'll take 75 round drums, and they just use them for the same reason we use the M249.
Okay.
And then the other one is they have designated marksmen. And you gotta remember, Soviet doctrine for snipers is a lot different than ours. It's more, a sniper to them is to be used like we use machine guns for suppressive fire. And they'll put snipers, they use a lot of snipers, or what we'd call designated marksmen, in platoon level. And they'll go
So
out
they're
there.
more concerned with keeping your head down or actually taking the shot?
Keep your, well,
I mean, if you get the shot, great, but the
yeah.
basic design is keep your head down with more accuracy?
More accuracy, but they're looking for leaders. They're looking for squad leaders, platoon leaders, things like that to take out.
Interesting.
But it's a different doctrine. They're not looking at these 1,000-yard shots like our snipers are trained for. They're trained out to about 600 yards.
Okay, jumping tracks here. I made a comment to you, I don't know, last month or something, that I'm noticing a lot more push on AKs lately when it comes to wholesalers and parts out there. They've always been there, don't get me wrong. But now it's like on the front pages or 2 or 3 pages. What's going on? Is that like everybody's got the hots for the AK again, or is there something else behind that?
My understanding from talking to some of these guys is that a few years ago when California put their laws into place where they, you had to have the bullet button and all that type of stuff to take out magazines and all this, there was a loophole in the law that allowed people to bring in parts kits and build their own rifles. And California, like they always do, they screwed up the rest of the country, and they sucked in all the AK kits, and it drove the price up for everybody else. But now that's either that market's flooded or they're changing the law, I'm not sure, but the kits are starting to work their way out to the rest of the country again. And so I've noticed the prices are actually coming down in some of the kits. So
In what environments would you say one's better than another? Like, if everybody likes the AR in woodland areas, in urban areas, as compared to, I mean, AK can go anywhere, but I'm assuming sand is terrible for an AR, right?
yeah, but I never really had much of an issue in Iraq. And I've talked to people who are in Afghanistan who had issues over there. They're more remote than we were in Iraq. We were going back to the fobs most every day and having a chance to clean our weapons and all that type of stuff. But pretty much if I'm in an area where accuracy is going to be more of a premium, like maybe an urban environment where I'm not trying to just spray down an area, I'm trying to pick out my targets because there's civilians and everything else around, I'm probably going to want the AR or the M16.
Okay, so how, on the AR platform versus the AK when it comes to accessorizing, we're pretty good on both sides?
Pretty good on both sides. There's a lot more for the AR, but there's a lot of them out there for the AK.
Yeah,
you can pretty much,
up, right?
they're catching up, and I mean, you got Magpul now building AK.
Let's talk about
parts.
AK then first. If there's more things coming up in the days gone by when it was hard to get parts for an AK, what now has come available for people who have AKs that they can modernize or update or specialize their weapon with all these accessories? What kind of stuff they have available now?
There's more people who are coming out with rails for the forearms. There's more additional types of scope mounts. There's people now who are milling the receiver cover on the AK
Yes.
with a scope mount milled onto it. For years people have been riveting them on, and then those things work loose over time and everything. But they're milling them as one piece now, and so you can get that as an option. So your scope is sitting in a better position than with that side mount. Like I said, Magpul's come out with their line of Zukov AK accessories, so you can get new forearms that you can put the Magpul rails on, so therefore you can put all the Magpul foregrips and angled foregrips and all that. They've also got their Zukov rear stock, which is neat because it's you can adjust for length, and it's also side folding.
Side fold, yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
One of the big things with me was the gas tube on top. You can burn yourself pretty easy. And what I liked about the accessory I put on mine was the quad rail that had pretty much covered that gas tube. So not only did you have the ability to accessorize with light, laser, whatever you want to put on there, but it also protects you from the accidental touching of it and getting burned. So that was a pretty good add-on there too. And I personally think every gun should have a light on it. That's me though.
Yeah, I like lights. Lasers, but lights.
Laser, you gotta know how to use a laser. Laser's great for tracking and things of that nature, but if you don't know what you're doing with a laser, it's just a detriment to you.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple minutes left, so we're gonna kind of wrap this up here. It's a nice mellow conversation here about the differences between the AR and the AK. John, why don't you tell everybody again, real quick, if you're not looking to buy an AK, but you're looking to build one, John here has access to a lot of things. So John, tell everybody once again what you can do for them, where you're located, how they can get in touch with you, so on and so forth, and you got about a minute to do it.
Okay. Yeah, we are selling the milled receivers for the AK-47s. We're selling many accessories for the AKs. We're getting new accessories in all the time. You can check us out at bjfirearms.biz, or you can send us an email at blackjackfirearms@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to let you know. We're also on Facebook. You can like us and follow us there, and as we get new items in, we place it on Facebook so people can see.
Fantastic. John, thank you very much for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, until next week, keep your powder dry, and God bless. Thank you, sir. Hope that helps.
I hope so. You need to build yourself an AK.
I got two from you.
Yeah, but you need to build one.
Well, you modified mine. I don't know what you did, but I'm not going to mess with them. They're looking straight.